Hey mamas, you're listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast, the only podcast teaching you how to balance your work, motherhood, and wellness. I am Dr. Amber Thornton, clinical psychologist and mama wellness consultant. Each week we dive into tips and strategies and much more so that you too can become a balanced working mama. Let's dive in. Hey mamas, we're here for another episode of the Balanced Working Mama podcast. Oh man, let's check in. I'm excited to check in because it's going to be a good one. So it's Sunday. It is November 8th. And so let's just take a moment to acknowledge that the last 4 years have been terrible. And you want to know why they've been terrible? Because we have had a president who has been completely incompetent, completely intolerable, completely oppressive, and just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I don't know about y'all, but there has been a lot of stress on me because of this presidency. And to be completely honest, didn't really pay or give a lot of attention to politics prior to this man becoming president. But I have had to be very vigilant with this 4 years because I just felt like I needed to know what was going on. But y'all, guess what? We got a whole new president. We have our first Black female vice president. Today is a new day. Like, it is a new day. I am overjoyed and so happy that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will hopefully be turning things around. And, like I mentioned on Instagram the other day, are they perfect? No, nobody is. Will their administration fix everything? No. Some of us will probably still be unhappy about certain things. We won't always agree with everything, but I just look forward to being able to not have presidential addresses and speeches give me anxiety, raise my blood pressure, raise my heart rate, like just to be able to watch Biden's address about accepting this was just so refreshing. To see Kamala on that stage was so empowering. Oh my God. I'm excited. So I hope that y'all feel as excited as I do. If anything, just feeling more hopeful that things will turn around. So that's how I'm starting, this week. It's going to be a good week because it's a new day. It's a new day. Things are going to turn around, and it makes me feel empowered and encouraged to try hard things, do new things, push forward with things that I feel uncertain about, because guess what? We can do it. We can do hard things, and I'm just so encouraged. So I hope that y'all feel encouraged as well. With that, let's see what else is going on. I'm doing pretty well. It's Sunday. Y'all know Sundays are grandparents' days. And so my son is out. My husband's out. I'm at home chilling, working on some stuff for Balanced Working Mama. Another cool thing that's happening this week is that we are in the final week for Empower Wellness Program. Yes, like it went so fast. We are wrapping up our final week. The mamas have taken their final wellness assessment. I'm going to review all the results with them this week. We are going to be celebrating in groups this week. And so I'm just so happy with the progress that they've made. I'm so happy with the connections that they've made with one another. I'm so happy how they've been supporting one another, but also supporting themselves in very different ways. So I look forward to these celebrations that we're going to have this week, and me, closing out with all 12 of the mamas. And I'm just so excited about it. Fun thing to look forward to at the very end of this season, in about 3 or 4 episodes or so, I'm going to have some of the mamas on that podcast to talk about their experience. So that's going to be a treat. So I hope that you'll tune in for that. But either way, I'm so proud of the mamas who participate in the Empower Wellness Program, y'all. I'm like, they did it. We did it. So yeah, let's move forward. I am excited about today's episode. We got another bomb mom. And actually, she and I are going to be talking about entrepreneurship in this episode. I felt like this was important because entrepreneurship is something that I'm accepting and embarking on and really taking on that role for myself. And it's completely new. And I realized in this entrepreneurship journey, I had to definitely build community with other mothers who also were doing the entrepreneurship thing. And Alece Coleman has definitely been one of those mamas for me. Alece is the founder of SpiRITUAL, and if y'all haven't checked it out, definitely go follow her at Hello Spiritual Co. And I'll be sure to put that in the show notes. And I want to make note of that. So listen out right now. I believe that in the podcast episode, which we pre-recorded, she talked about her Instagram, but she has since updated and like is doing a rebrand because she moving forward with her business and things going on. And so the name of the Instagram where you can go check the shop out is Hello Spiritual Co. So again, I'll put that in the show notes, but definitely go follow her. But if you hear the other one, just know that the new Instagram is Hello Spiritual Co. But Alece is just really doing it with her company and building her brand and building the company. I've purchased so many things from this company already, and I love them, and I continue to do it. And I really love talking with her because she is right in the thick of building something for herself and it being new. And she and I really talk about these things often about what's required, and we were able to bring one of these conversations to you on the podcast. So I hope that y'all enjoy this episode. But again, definitely check out Alece and Spiritual Company. And let's get into it. Hey mama, I want to quickly tell you about the Empower Wellness Program. This is a dynamic 6-week group for working mothers who are tired of feeling overwhelmed, fatigued, burdened by mom guilt, but then also just not having enough time for themselves. This program takes all of that and transforms it into more wellness, more time for yourself, better priorities, community with other mothers, but then overall balance in your work, motherhood, and wellness. To learn more about the Empower Wellness Program, head over to balanceworkingmama.com. There you can find when the next program begins, what to expect, but then also how to sign up. Hope to see you in the next group. Hey everyone. So today is really, really special because we have a really awesome guest on the podcast today. My good friend Alece, and I'm calling her my good friend because it just feels like we've known each other for a really long time. But really, honestly, this woman is someone I have only met through Instagram. And I think that really just speaks to the power of social media at times. Of course, we always have to be careful with social media, but there have been so many really powerful and strong women that I've met on Instagram and other social media platforms, and Alece is definitely one of them. So I want to welcome Alece. Hello, Alece.
Hi, Dr. Amber. I'm so thankful to be here.
So happy you're here. And so, of course, today we are going to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and motherhood. But first, before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about who you are? Anything you would like for us to know before we dive into this topic?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Alece Coleman. I am a healer. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I am a wife. I am a mom to 3 kids, 5 and under. And I run a self-care luxury item line called SpiRITUAL. So that's really who I am and what I do.
Nice. Y'all, I love SpiRITUAL. So also I meant to tell you this before we got started, but I bought from you the triple butter stick and then also the botanical bar. And so I already knew I wanted the triple butter stick, but the botanical bar, so just like I don't typically use bar soap, but I was like, you know what? I just want to try it because I've watched Alece do this for weeks. Like, y'all really need to follow her because she does such a great job of like really demonstrating and walking people through her process of like building her products and creating her products. And so it really captivated me. And so I was like, I'm gonna buy some bar soap. I don't even use bar soap, but I'm gonna do it. And
Awesome.
so And I think again, it speaks to how well you do what you do. And so I've been using the bar soap and I'm almost out. And so I'm like patiently waiting for when the shop
The
opens
next
again.
drop.
Yes. Cause I'm like, bro, now I'm converted. Now I only want to use your soaps. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah, no, and I'm being dead serious. Like I am ready to throw out all the other soaps that I've used. Like I'm only
Yeah,
going to use your soap from now on. So
thank
I just wanted to
you.
tell you that I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. That's one of our best sellers, the botanical
Really?
bar.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, so people really like that. And I really can't wait. October 12th is the drop for the next Soap and Suds event, which is all things bar soap. So it's going to be exciting.
Nice. I'm excited. Well, I will definitely be tuned in. So again, you all follow her. We'll make sure that she drops all her Instagram info and everything so that you all
Sure.
can stay tuned. But let's talk a little bit more though about entrepreneurship. And
Sure.
so let me just kind of set the context for why we're talking about this today. Again, you and I have been connected on Instagram for I don't even know how long. It's been a long time. And I know because I remember back in November of 2019, um, I was starting my consultation practice. And I think I reached out to you because I was like, okay,
Mhm.
she is a clinical therapist, but then also she does some coaching. And so I wanted
Yep.
to know, how do you navigate those two? And so that already lets me know we've been connected probably almost a year now because I know I was following
Mhm.
you way before that. Um, but more recently, though, you and I think our career trajectories have shifted a little bit in that
For
we
sure.
now have fully dived into this thing called entrepreneurship. And I don't know if that's what you would call it, but that's definitely how I'm starting to, I don't know, identify with it a little bit more. It's like this is my first time doing my own thing and navigating that process. And I think that in and of itself is like a whole thing, but then also throwing it in there being a mother is like there's so much to unpack with that. And so I wanted to talk with you specifically about this because I know you and I are still in the early stages of doing this for ourselves, but then also recently you had an IG live where you were talking about just the frustrations of balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship. And then also you and I still work our 9 to 5. And
Yep.
so like there is just so much that we're juggling, and so much that you spoke about really, really touched me, and it spoke to me because like, yes, same. And I don't really have a lot of other people who are into entrepreneurship and also mothers. And so it was just like, wow, I really want to talk to Alece about this, and I want to bring it on the podcast because I feel like there might be other mothers who either want to venture into entrepreneurship and or they're doing it and they're feeling the same ways that we feel. But I just thought it would be powerful to bring this on. And so I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, what led you into entrepreneurship?
Sure. Well, one thing is I have been an entrepreneur since I was 19. So
Mm,
SpiRITUAL is actually my second bath and body company. Um,
I didn't know
so
that.
er, yeah, so I've been making soap over a decade, like well over at this point. So it wasn't a foreign concept to me, entrepreneurship. My mother was kind of like an entrepreneur in her own way. So it wasn't an idea that I couldn't get with, but actually motherhood propelled me into like, you want to do this fully on your own as soon as possible because of the flexibility. I think I will say this. I think I didn't have a clear view of what flexibility looks like. I just thought like, oh, I'm a mom now. I'll become an entrepreneur, make my own hours, and then everything will be perfect, right? And I quickly found out that that's actually not what it is. As an entrepreneur, you'll probably work harder than you've ever worked for anybody else in your life.
Yeah.
So the big push, which propelled me into entrepreneurship, was motherhood, wanting flexibility,
Mm-hmm.
wanting complete control over how much I was able to earn
Mm-hmm.
and the avenues and the type of language I could use, how I could show up for others, and really wanting to do something that spoke to not just my brain, but also my soul, like something I could
Mm-hmm.
do every day that I absolutely loved.
Wow. That is so, you know what? I'm so glad you said that because for me, I never really made that connection of like, oh, entrepreneurship is going to bring me the flexibility. And that's what I need when I'm a mother. But now that I'm in it, I think that's like my long-term plan of like when I jump fully into my entrepreneurship, I will have that flexibility and I want that.
Yes.
I really do. And it's also funny you brought up your mom because it made me realize, and this is not something I don't think I've ever shared this, but my dad is he's been a full-time entrepreneur his whole life.
Wow.
Yeah, he owns a auto body shop. And so he was like the local auto mechanic for everyone
That's
in
awesome.
our area for all of my life. And he did that with his brothers. And my dad has never worked for anyone. And I don't think he would be able
Wow.
to because he's just not that type of person. He's like, nope, I got to work for myself. And my mom, now that I'm reflecting on it, she's always had this entrepreneurial spirit, where she would do things like for a while, she had this floral business where she would like create bouquets for people, or for a while she was doing Avon, or she just little things.
Mhm.
She always had that spirit, but was never able to pick it up. And it made me just think of the differences, I think. And I guess this kind of goes into my next question of, I think entrepreneurship really does look different for men and women. But then especially mothers, sometimes I wonder what were the unique challenges my mom experienced with her desires of wanting to do her own thing, but just never really being able to fully dive into it. And so I guess a question I want us to kind of think through is, what do you think are the unique challenges for mothers specifically in entrepreneurship?
I think one of the first ones that come to mind is time management,
Mm-hmm.
particularly how old your children are,
Mm-hmm.
and what they may have access to. So I have three children, 5 and under. I'm still nursing my almost 2-year-old. So even when you're talking about just the physical connection and proximity of needing to be close, whether you choose to breastfeed directly or pump or whatever, there is for us, unlike men, a physical connection that's sometimes required so
Yeah.
that the kids can eat. So that is a barrier, the time management. And I also think the support,
Mm-hmm.
really the type of partner you have, and if they understand
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship and what it's going to take, because there will be flex required in
Mm-hmm.
terms of effort, in terms of money, investment, and in terms of their own responsibilities in the household. And that's where things, particularly for women, get choppy, or they say, okay, we can't do this, because usually the partner that they have isn't able or is unwilling or doesn't understand how to support an entrepreneur.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, yeah, that both of those, but I really think that second one really speaks to me a lot. Because it reminded me of like, there was an article like a few months back, and it was about this white woman, and I can't remember specifically, but I like can picture what she looks like, and how basically she closed her business because of the pandemic, because
Mm,
her husband was like, I can't do this. Like
wow.
she had a fully functioning business and she was the breadwinner of her home. And so that meant that her husband was going to have to do a lot of the primary caretaking for them at the time in the pandemic, and he couldn't do it. And so she decided to close her business. And
That makes me
that
so sad for her.
yeah, it really made me so sad for her. And I know that she's not the only one, because the pandemic has really been a thing that, because I think we're now seeing statistics too that many women are dropping out of the workforce and
Yes.
or not progressing in the ways that they thought they would because they are taking on a lot of like the caretaking and the home things. So I really do think that the partner piece, if you do have a partner, the support of your partner is tremendous because society has so many expectations of women and mothers that they just don't have for men and fathers. And I think for me, that's definitely one of the specific challenges for working mothers and entrepreneurship is this, I guess, just the expectations that we have about motherhood. I think
Yes.
when you hear the word mother, you automatically assume that that's going to be like the primary caretaker or the primary person in the home or primary everything. And, I think, and we'll talk about this too. I think for me, what that has meant is I've had to really let go of some of those notions because if I didn't, I just wouldn't be able to show up and help Balance Working Mama grow in the ways that I want to. But I want to ask you more specifically for you, what do you think have been like the biggest challenges in your entrepreneur journey?
I think the first thing for me was mindset,
Yeah.
realizing that this is something that I can actually shift into and have it be my career. So the
Mhm.
first thing I had to really attack and really address was my mindset. How
Mhm.
much do you believe in your product? How much do you believe in your ability to generate cash flow that can
Mhm.
sustain you?
Girl.
So that was the first thing, really working on, believing yourself. And then the second thing was relinquishing what I thought was only my responsibility in terms of childcare. And I'm not just talking about, bath time or meal prep, because my husband is actually a very good cook. So when it's not football season, and we can talk about that another time, he is in the kitchen. That's not an issue. But other aspects of the home, women do so much administrative tasks. So who's scheduling all the doctor's appointments? Who's going to the grocery store? Who's saying, hey, we need oil changes? He's taking them, but I'm scheduling all of those little idiosyncrasies. So really letting go of some of that and saying, yeah, I don't know when the kids are going to the dentist next, but here's who they need to go to. Can you figure that part out? And I've been finding that lots of the issue is that we're not asking and being upfront
Mhm.
about it,
Mhm.
because they will do it. And I'm not trying to sound, controlling, but my husband has said to me on many occasions, tell me what to do. Don't leave it in between the lines. Like, if you tell me what to do, I'll do it. But if you're kind of walking around with all this pent up resentment and feeling overwhelmed,
Yeah.
I'm not going to come to you and say, hey, you look pretty stressed out today. How can I be of service? He's like, just make a list and give it to me. So
Yep.
I've literally started doing that, and it has changed the game for us tremendously.
Mhm. Good. I'm so happy to hear that because I think you're absolutely right. Like, I teach a lot of that actually in the Empower Wellness program. We talk a
Okay.
lot about, really opening up and communicating with your partner or whoever the helping person in your home is, because they may not know what's going on if it's in your
Even if it
head.
seems obvious.
Right. Even if it's
Because
obvious to
because
us.
we get into this, like, you should anticipate,
Mhm.
look at me,
Mhm.
don't you see these bags under my eyes, don't you see the kids running, don't you see the house a mess?
They don't.
And they don't.
They
Mm-mm.
don't. And so okay, I have so many things in my head. Hopefully I can get them all out. But
Okay.
I think sometimes there are some people who have a problem with that, because
Hmm.
then they're like, well, then what that means is that I am the default. And so I'm having to tell the person what to do. And for me, what I say to that is, this is the starting point. Like, yes, you're right. When we have to communicate to our partners that here's this list and this is what I need you to do. Yeah, that does imply that you are the default primary person, but this is the start to undo that, because what we want to do is we want to unwork that. We don't want you to automatically be the default for everything. But in order to get from point A to point B, we have to do some unlearning and some unworking. And one of the first steps is saying, hey, this is what I need you to do, because this is what we're not going to do no more. you know? And so absolutely, absolutely.
And to your point, I've also linked that with this is entrepreneurship. So spiritual isn't just about soaps and bath salts. I'm creating a luxury self-care experience in line.
Mhm.
So if I'm unable to communicate and delineate responsibilities to my partner, I can't do that to employees.
Nope.
You're going to have to do that as an entrepreneur. You're going to have to tell the bank, this is the type of plan I want. You're going to have to tell your accountant, this is where I want to cut things. You're going to have to tell your suppliers, this is what I will pay, this is what I cannot. So this is also a practice in just getting very comfortable and asking for what you need to thrive.
Absolutely. We got core values here at Balanced Working Mama, and one of them is assertiveness and asking for what you need and communicating your needs. And that is absolutely what that is. And you need that in your home, in your
Mhm.
relationship, but then also in your business. Like, for
Correct.
sure. And that resonates with me too. I recently brought on my intern, which is really exciting because
Yeah.
for her, it was an
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
unpaid position. I know, go Brandy. But now she's doing some contract work for me. So she can get a little check, but like be with me long term and work with me more closely. And so I have to be able to communicate with her and let her know what I need and what's okay and what's not okay, and provide that direction. And in the future, I do hope to hire actual employees and full-time people with
Mhm.
Balanced Working Mama. And if I can't even communicate to my husband about what I need him to do, I don't think I'll be able to do that in my business. So you're absolutely right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And I think there was something else you said that resonated with me too. Um, for me in my home, and I don't know about you or how it is for you, but I I also have had to let go of that idea that I was the one that had to be the point person for a lot of things.
Hmm.
I think if I were to go into my motherhood journey with the ideas of motherhood that maybe I had seen before, I don't think I would be able to be an entrepreneur, because what I've seen before is women and mothers doing everything and doing it all, and literally doing it all, even if there was a whole grown person in that home. And so I've had to
Same.
really let go of that idea of, you know, I don't do bath time because that's not in my ministry.
Hmm.
And it's just I've decided that there are going to be some things that my husband does, and there are going to be some things that I do, and there are going to be some things that we switch up, and there are going to be some things that we don't. But it just has to be that way, and we had to set it up early that way so that the expectations are just plain. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
there's certain I don't do dinners, I don't do bath time. And for some people, sometimes I feel like that they might think, well, you know, that's what kind of mother is she? But
Well,
like,
I can go there with you.
yes, oh,
For those of you who don't know, my husband is an educator. My husband has been a science teacher for the last 18 years. Um, I don't do homework.
girl.
Even now, I finally kind of accepted the fact that I don't like reading to my kids. I will grab a book, and we have many, but actually teaching them and doing homework, which is why I nixed my own personal homeschool situation. I don't enjoy it. I was very stressed out. I am that mom that's on the meme, like 2 + 2 equals, like that is me. So I'm like, this is not what I should be doing. What do I enjoy? I enjoy bath time. I enjoy cooking with them. I enjoy gardening. I enjoy dancing. That is what that's what works for us. So my husband is an educator. So I'm like, you take all of that, even now that we send our kids out for our kindergartner, my husband still creates a curriculum for her, and we take it to the childcare provider.
Yeah.
So he looks up all the programs she should be on, the levels,
Mhm.
sends it to them. All I'm doing is dropping the kid in the folder off.
Good.
But I want nothing to do with that part, as
Absolutely.
long as I can stay away from it.
Good. And I think that's exactly what I'm speaking to, is like, we have to let go of the idea that we should be the primary holder of all the things.
Mhm.
Because one, just realistically, some of those things aren't our strengths. Like for
Nope.
you, your husband's the educator.
Yeah, why should I be looking up worksheets on ABC Mouse? I don't have no business over there.
Girl. And so, like, for instance, in my home, my husband is the cook. Girl, I don't want to cook nothing. I don't do that. That has never been anything I've ever wanted to do. And so he loves it. And so guess what? He's cooking most of the meals because
Mhm.
he gets to do something he enjoys. And then I get to go, fill in where I'm strong. Like for me, I really enjoy reading time. Like at the end of the
Yeah.
night, we read our three little books, and I'm always there for that. My husband hates that shit, but I'm
Yep.
showing up for that because that's what I really love. Or I'm the one where I love getting down on the floor with my son and like just really playing for like a whole hour or more. Like that's my thing. And there's so many other things, but that has helped me to be able to show up in entrepreneurship and really have the mental capacity to devote to balanced working mama, because I have been able to let go of some of the things that don't serve me in motherhood, and give it to someone else.
I'm so glad you said mental capacity. Like part of being an entrepreneur is also training your brain on how to make space. And if you got like a computer, 50,000 tabs open, there's no way you can harness the creativity and the grit that's going to be required for you to be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
So we're also talking about like making mental space and taking things off your plate, not necessarily because you don't always enjoy it, but just because you have to reserve some brain power, a lot of brain power for whatever business or venture it is that you're trying to launch.
Absolutely. And so I feel like we're already kind of into this, but I want to go to the next question of,
Sure.
what are the top lessons you think you've learned so far on this journey? And I know you have been in entrepreneurship for a long time, so you probably got some rich lessons,
Mhm.
but what have been the top
Um,
lessons for you?
on an aside, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a psychotherapist. So when I was building private practice, because I did that for a while too, and this goes to any business, don't do or make or have what you don't like.
Mm,
Don't feel like you have to offer something because that's what's being offered or because you think that's what people want. Just a quick lesson in that, even with spiritual, I was killing myself trying to make these bath bombs and it just wasn't working. Like I moved to a different climate, the humidity. So I changed the product up and now I offer spiritual dust.
mm,
So don't be afraid to drop something. And when I was shout out to Brandon on the phone with him, we were talking about it and he was like, drop the bath bombs. Why? Why are you beating yourself up? He goes, get rid of it. So that even took me back to my therapy days of like, I don't work with clients that are not a fit for me professionally. I don't have to service everybody because I'm a Black therapist and there's a need for Black therapists.
mhm,
There's just some stuff I don't do.
mhm,
So that was one, don't offer everything, figure out what you like. The
mhm,
second one was get comfortable explaining to people in your family what you do and why.
mhm, mm,
So that's not a one-time conversation you're going to have with your partner, your caregiver, or your older kids. It is going to be repeated. Mommy is doing this because this makes me happy. It makes us money. And that's how you can go to swim lesson or whatever it is. Like, don't be afraid to say that. Another lesson I think that I've learned and am learning is to show up as your authentic self. And as cheesy
mhm,
as that may sound,
mhm.
people like imperfection. People love to see a brand or business being built from the bottom to the top.
Yep.
So don't feel like you have to have everything perfect, all your social media, your perfect website, perfect labels. You really don't need that. People are out here wanting to be inspired, looking for people to inspire them, and that could very well be you.
Absolutely. Ooh, that part. I feel like we could do a whole other part too, on like just the nitty-gritty parts of like getting started with your business. Because I
Mhm.
think, honestly, and I think this is a part of motherhood too, like so many of us tend to be perfectionists.
Yes.
And when you are a perfectionist, you don't start things because you're waiting for the perfect
Yep.
time, the perfect moment, the perfect this and that. And it really will hold you back in motherhood, but then also in entrepreneurship, because as you probably know, starting, you need to just start.
Yes. Yep. You need to just start. You can't wait and
Start.
figure it out. And in the balance to motherhood, the thing I've learned is to really practice a lot of self-compassion
Yeah.
because there will be things that I miss or that I have to put on the back burner for
Mhm.
the advancement of my job or career. And motherhood will have to take a back seat. And it doesn't mean I love them any less or I care for them any less, but really being able to boldly state in this moment in time, I am putting my career and entrepreneur needs in front of yours
I
because
love
I've left you in
it.
the hands of people that can manage it. But right now, I am putting you to the back and
Girl,
my career to the front.
I
And
feel
it's okay.
I feel like you need to say that whole thing over again because that I was waiting for us to get to that part because I think that's a really important part, and so I'm gonna
Mhm.
reiterate it because I think that's one of the biggest lessons for me is that, and I feel like I've said this before, I just can't remember in what capacity, but there are going to be moments, especially when you are in entrepreneurship, that motherhood is not necessarily going to be your main priority. And
Nope.
so, what I mean by that, though, and I feel like I have to clarify that because people will be like, what you mean? Like,
Yes.
your kids always come first. What you mean? I'm like, okay, hold on, let me explain.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is like, clearly, yes, our children, we love them dearly. We always will make sure that their needs are taken care of. But that doesn't mean that I have to be the one that's showing up
Mhm.
and doing all that. So what instead that might mean is like, hey, I'm trying to build balanced working mama. That will require a lot of effort and work on my part. And I still got to keep this full-time job. So
Yep.
what this means is that we're going to delegate. We're going to do some things like make sure that you have a solid place where you go, be safe, have fun, and learn during the day. And we
Mhm.
feel good about that. Boom, that's covered. Or it might mean like, hey, you know what? I just don't have as much time to devote to cleaning my house all the time.
Yep.
And so guess what? We're going to hire someone to come in and help us with this because that's what's needed in this moment. And so instead, when I think about that, it means that you might not be the person on the front lines, but you are definitely going to make sure that there are systems and people and place things set in place to make sure that your kids and your family family are good, but you might have to go over here and do this other thing because you need to build
Absolutely.
your business. You need to build wealth for your family, but also more importantly, you need to be fulfilled. And I think, that's something that you and I have talked about before. We're not doing this just for the money.
Oh
We're not
no.
doing this just it like we have been called to do this work. Like I feel like I've
Yes,
been called to do balanced working mama. I feel like you have been called to create spiritual. And
absolutely.
so we are doing it for our fulfillment and our satisfaction in this life. But then also the more that we are fulfilled and satisfied, the better our children and families will be.
Yes, 100%. Because when I have a productive day of creating beautiful self-care products, I
Mhm.
feel so accomplished. I feel so good. So when I go and pick them up at daycare, I can turn that switch off because I've done what I needed to do for the day. And I can actually devote more attention that's singular. I'm not multitasking when I'm with them as much as I used to because I didn't have the help. So now there isn't a lot of multitasking. When I pick them up, they got me until bedtime.
Yeah.
It's all mama all the time.
Yep.
So, and I would also, tell other women too, when you're putting your career or your project before your children, because that's what it is,
Mhm.
it's a moment of time. It's not forever. It's a snippet of their childhood. And it'll be another snippet of their adolescence and a snippet of this, a snippet of that. So when we think of like, oh my God, you are putting your career before your children. Yes, for
Mhm.
this time period,
Yes.
but it's not always like that.
Right. Right. And honestly, that's just what it is required. And I know that it sounds jarring,
Mhm.
but women, and I wish I had the statistics, I should have looked this up, but when we're talking about businesses, especially in America, a very small amount of them are women owned. But then, like, for instance, if we're really talking about, big bucks, multi-million dollar businesses or companies, very, 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 very few are business women owned. And so I feel like, again, like we've been saying, so much of that is just based on expectations that society and people around us have for women and mothers, and it's unfair because it doesn't
Yeah.
allow us to move forward and thrive in the ways that men have been able to do. And so we're really trying to undo that.
And if I could just add on one more thing to that, which is important, you're going to get these messages that you're wrong or that you should be at home or you should be cleaning from people who are close to you, from people who love you, from people who love your children. However, we also have to be able to recognize that those people are usually speaking from a wounded place, one, because they couldn't do it.
Girl.
So they don't really understand how you have the capacity to do it. And two, because they just don't understand it. That hasn't been life for them. It hasn't been set up that way, but it's really your responsibility to propel forward to break that. So understand that there will be people in your life who are divisive. It could be your partner, it could be parents, in-laws, the daycare provider. However, it's your responsibility to uphold your own personal values and stay aligned with that and really cancel out the noise.
Yep, absolutely. And if y'all need support with that, just know me and Alece are here to support you in
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Because we
Because
know,
we're not stopping.
girl, no, we're not. We're
We're
not.
not stopping.
Because again, the end goal, kind of like what you were saying before, like this is a moment. Absolutely. This is a moment because the goal is for this business and brand and company to bring me the flexibility where I can spend more time with my kids and with my family. And
Exactly.
this is a moment. And in this moment, we really do have to grind and hustle, but it's going to be so worth it. So I got a few more questions for you, and then I will let
Sure.
you go. This one actually, it just came to me and I didn't write it down, but I feel like there's going to be some mamas who are curious about how we have been able to manage entrepreneurship, but then also our full-time jobs.
Okay. Yeah.
Do
Let's
you
talk
have
about
any
it.
insights on that?
I am a teletherapist, so I deliver all my psychotherapy online, and I recently just transferred to full time
Mm,
with this company, which was needed, for the economic to pour into my passion.
yeah.
But I think the balance is one, realizing that initially you will be up at night.
Hmm.
So just having the expectation that if you're going to work a full-time job or even a part-time, it is going to be you're going to be required to stretch yourself, and that may mean starting your work or doing the bulk of it when the kids are sleeping, maybe getting a babysitter on the weekend or asking people to help out. So a little bit of radical acceptance that I'm going to be tired in the beginning until the systems get put in place.
Mhm.
The second is really starting to set timelines for what you want to do. I find that when I have something to look forward to, when I'm like, okay, in 6 months, I'd like to be here with my business. And I'm talking attaching a figure to it. Because most of us, we keep our main jobs because we need the money or the health insurance.
Yes.
So it's like, when I get to this number, this is when I can really start to either pare down or look at changing what my work schedule looks like.
Mhm.
And the third thing is faith. And I know that kind of sounds cheesy, but really being faithful that I'm putting my energy into this, I'm putting my brain power, I'm putting all the resources that I can. So it's going to work out.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you right there. Like that faith piece, girl, yes. Like you have to have that um
Mhm.
in some capacity because yeah, you really do have to
Yeah.
have that. Like this is going to work out. I'm doing what I need to do right now to ensure
Hmm.
that this is going to work out. But I would definitely agree with you with some of the other things you said. I know for me, I have had to definitely be very diligent and careful about my time. Like you just have to be because realistically, there's not a lot of time.
Nope.
And so like I am like on it, like between the hours of like 9 to 5, I do what I got to do. I don't play around. I'm not messing around because I've got a lot that I want to do. I'm very like, detailed about what my schedule looks like, but also what you said about you might have to stay up or you might have to get up early. That's the reality. And for
Hmm.
me, I'm a very early person. So
Yes.
I will
I
wake
see you
up.
on your bike at 5 a.m. getting it. And I'm
Like
like, ooh, what time is it over there?
'cause for me, I'm the early one because I know like by 8:39, I'm just I cannot stay up.
Mhm.
So I get up early and whether it's working out or getting some work done, like I'm on it in the mornings. And again, because we just don't have a lot of time. So for many of us, especially when you're starting out in your entrepreneurship journey, you might have to work some odd hours, but never, hopefully, not at the expense of your self-care. We want to make sure that you're sleeping, that you're eating,
Yes.
put some limits on it. But yeah,
I'd like to also like to plug you. Y'all, I took and paid for my Balanced Working Mama workshop assessment. Like I participated. And the best thing I could say too when you're starting out is find support. So
mm,
you need to get other women, moms who are doing what you're doing, building something, launching something. Because when I tell you that community support to come through, when you click in that Facebook group or you click on that Instagram and people are posting like, got my landing page done today, ordered my shea butter from Ghana today, hired a copywriter today, it gives you that extra boost.
yeah.
So get support, and it's funny because when I took the assessment with Dr. Amber and Balanced Working Mama, my top area of concern was physical health. And I knew that, but to see it in black and white and that little gentle red highlight, I was like, yeah, the mirror was a good investment. And girl, you need to turn it on
Yeah.
because this is serious.
Yep.
So tap into support, get tools, ask around, figure out what's the best fit, but definitely having a community to one, hold you accountable and two, cheer you on is really going to be a big part of your motherhood and entrepreneurship journey.
Oh my God, absolutely. And I know you and I have invested in the same business coaching. And so we have that
Mhm.
community. But then also
Mhm.
like we might have other communities. But
Me
absolutely,
too.
I definitely noticed that I needed that when I started Balance Working Mama because I didn't really have a
Mhm.
lot of other people who were into entrepreneurship. And so it really does help to have that validation and people normalize those things. But also just to offer tips and insights like, hey, I'm a
Mhm.
mom and I'm doing this and this is what worked for me. And it's just so helpful. So, well, we are going to wrap up, but this has been such a joy, and I'm so glad. I know I already said this, but like I am so proud of you, and I am so glad that
Thank
you and I are
you.
connected, and I'm so excited to see you grow spiritual and do all the things that you're gonna
Thank
do.
you.
Any last words of wisdom, encouragement, advice for any mamas who maybe are starting in their entrepreneurship journey or are wanting to start a business or get into entrepreneurship?
Sure. Um, I guess, words of advice and encouragement would be that there is nothing that you can't create create that somebody else doesn't want or need.
Mm,
So don't ever think that your idea is too small or it's been done a million times, and the classic example is loaves of bread. But when you see any product, did Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, did any of them say, we're not going to make a soft drink because somebody else has one? Like, who cares? I don't care if it's a hair growth oil. I don't care if you're selling coffee, if you're slinging soaps like me. Maybe you're a doctor and you want to do some sort of program for moms. It doesn't matter. Whatever you have to offer is uniquely yours, and someone wants it, needs it, and is willing to pay for it. So my goal, my sentiment is launch it, do it. And I just want to say, Dr. Ember, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure getting information from you, participating in your challenges, being inspired and having camaraderie in this thing called motherhood, as well as entrepreneurship. And everybody, you can find me online at spiritual_botanicals. My company is just spiritual, but someone had that on Instagram, so I had to add the underscore and botanicals. And Dr. Amber will put it in the show notes. But I create a line of self-care luxury items. So bath soaks, spiritual dust, scrubs, whipped shea butter, and we have some really awesome, amazing things that are coming in 2021. So I'm really looking forward to sharing it with everybody, and I'm just very appreciative.
yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. And thank you for plugging that, because that was going to be my next question. Where can people find you? So I'll be sure to include all of that in the show notes. And again, y'all, like I love the triple butter stick. I love the botanical bar. When the whipped shea butters come out again, I'm going to get some of that because my son, he needs it. His skin is
A
so
little dry.
yes, he got a little eczema, so we're gonna get some for him. But again, I just love what you're doing. So thank you so much for coming by and talking with us today. It has been such a pleasure.
Of course. Thank you.
Hey mama, Balanced Working Mama is growing. I want to make sure that you stay connected and up to date with everything happening over here. So you don't miss any of the good stuff, head over to balancedworkingmama.com, sign up for the newsletter. You'll always be the first to learn of any new podcast episodes, events, programs, and you'll get a hello from me every now and then. So sign up today, mama, because I want to connect with you soon. Hey mama, so I hope that you enjoyed the episode with Alece where we talked about entrepreneurship and motherhood. There were so many gems that were dropped. Alece is such a wealth of knowledge and experience. And again, please check out her spiritual shop because her products are amazing. But for your Balanced Working Mama homework for this week, I really want to challenge you because while I know that some of us are, into entrepreneurship, we've gotten started and we're on the journey, there are many of you who have not started yet, and it's because of some fear or some block or something that's keeping you from it. And so what I want to ask you is what big project or creative venture or, business endeavor have you wanted to get into but have been sitting on? And again, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could just be something, like a blog or, creating something new, whatever it is. What project or creative venture or thing that you've wanted to get into, what have you been sitting on, mama? I want you to identify what that is. But more importantly, I want you to really think about what are the things that have been keeping me sitting on this? Because I firmly believe, and I believe I've probably said this before, all of us have gifts, all of us have passions and dreams. None of that goes away just because we become mothers. Yes, things do become more challenging and a little bit more complicated when it comes to pursuing certain goals and dreams and visions, but that's not enough to say that we just can't do it. That's not enough to keep sitting on it. So, what are you sitting on? And when we going to get started? When are you going to get started? I really want you to reflect on that and really think about what's the thing that's been keeping you from moving forward with your plan or your big idea or your project. think of one of the principles from Balanced Working Mama. And again, we talked about this in episode 11, or you can go back to season 1 and review all of those core values. But think of one of the Balanced Working Mama core values that might help you get started. So again, whether it is getting better boundaries set in place so that you can have the time to work on the thing you want to work on, or more assertively asking for the help that you need so that you have the time and the capacity to work on the thing, or delegating to other people so you have the time. How time keeps coming up, but really, truly think about what is the thing that's been keeping you from moving forward. And it could be perfectionism. I know that's a thing for a lot of us. And so if it's perfectionism for you, I want you to revisit effective management of guilt and anxiety, particularly the anxiety piece, because that's all that perfectionism is anxiety and fear of failure. So figure out what is the thing that's been keeping you sitting on this project, this big idea, this dream, this passion, and unblock that, because I want you to move forward. So if you have questions or you need help with that, hit me up. Y'all know where to find me. But I'm excited to see y'all move forward with your dreams, your passions, your goals, your desires, because you deserve it, mama. Hey, mama. Thank you for listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast. If you love this podcast, please be sure to rate it and share it with another mama that you know. And don't forget to follow me and Balanced Working Mama on Instagram. I'll talk to you soon.